from the Storybook Theater at NWCT. It's the How Do You Do Show with Talon Bigelow. Today's guest, Andrés Alcalá. Plus, a sneak peek at Desvelado. I'm Perry Winkle. Now here's your host, Talon Bigelow.
Hey everybody, welcome to How Do You Do? I'm your host, Talon Bigelow. Happy February, and happy Black History Month. Check it out. I'm actually wearing a little Black History right now. The hoodie I'm wearing features the art of Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was a Brooklyn-born artist who was very prominent in the 70s and 80s. He rose to international acclaim after being an unknown graffiti artist in about 3 or so years. So, very talented individual, name you should know. If you want to know more, I've included the link to a really wonderful, short, educational, animated video that features a lot of his artwork. It was made by TEDx, and it's definitely worth a watch. So go ahead. It's Black History Month. You know, that means you got to do the work too. I made it easy for you. It's just a link. You just click it. It might not even be a whole click. Why are you trying to make me do more work? Don't I work hard enough? I agree. I do work hard. You're right. People should appreciate me more. I agree. What's that? You're not really talking to me? You're just staring in awkward silence as I have a conversation with myself? Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyway, we're going to devote the whole next episode to Black History Month, but this episode is going to be a good one too. You know why? Because it's a main stage special. We're going to be talking about our next, newest, upcoming digital production, Desvelado. I'll be interviewing the director, Andrés Alcalá, and honestly, I think he explains the show best, so I'm just going to let him tell it. Here he is.
Hi there. My name is Andrés Alcalá, although most kids call me Andy. I've performed in lots of different productions. Most recently, I played Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins, as well as the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, or Captain Hook in Peter Pan, or my favorite is Shrek. I'm announcing today something really exciting. I get to direct and have been directing a digital version of a magical piece called Desvelado. Desvelado is a play about a person named Little One who has a friendly pet turtle who doesn't have a name, but doesn't need one because it's very much loved, who has moved from location to location for a lot of their lives. Little One is having a hard time falling asleep. This play is going to tell you about what is bothering Little One with the help of Little One's friend, Harvest, the moon, and Musica. Musica is a character that represents the music and emotions and expressions that we all feel. With my creative editing techniques and some of my animation background, I'm putting together a digital version of this show. I think people can relate, young and old, to what it's like to have to be in a new location or a new environment, and the fear of the unknown, of not knowing what's around the corner, what's next. And Little One is having that anxiety themselves. Everybody feels sometimes that they're left out or that they're alone. And we're hoping that with a couple of the adventures that we go on, flying over the ocean or going into the ocean, flying a kite or looking up at the stars, that we're going to be able to discover that we are not alone. We can use our imagination. We can escape a lot of our isolated feelings with this magical and imaginative world. Let your wonder open up. Enjoy Desvelado.
Thanks, Andy. When we return, I'll be interviewing Andy about Desvelado. We'll be right back with more How Do You Do? back to How Do You Do? Today's guest is no stranger to Northwest Children's Theater, whether you've seen him on the main stage as Mr. Banks, Captain Hook, Shrek, or one of his many other roles, or you've had him as a teaching artist through our second stage programs. In addition to directing, he is also the editor and animation coordinator on Desvelado. Please welcome Andrés Alcalá. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. I wanted to ask kind of how you got your start in theater.
There's a children's theater company in Missoula called the Missoula Children's Theater, actually. And they traveled through my town back a long time ago. I was 13 years old. And in my town in Crescent City, California, there was not a lot of things going on. There was a community theater in town, but that was about it. This group had two actors going around with a big carload of costumes, and they cast a show. We rehearsed for a week and we performed for one weekend. And I was what, as they say, bit by the bug. And I was a big 13-year-old. So I got to take care of the younger kids and walk around and make sure that they held each other's hands and said, come on, we got to go now, and do our entrances and everything. But that's how I first got involved with a theater production. But when I was 9 years old, I knew I wanted to be an actor. I just never had an opportunity to actually do it. And then I went to school in Ashland. I started going to plays in high school when they were trying to show us Shakespeare. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I dreamed about working there. So I got scholarships to go to school at Southern Oregon because of my drama teacher at the time. And as a result of going to school there, you get to see plays over and over for free. You get to volunteer. A lot of my friends went and dropped out of school and started working for them. And I held in there and got my degree. And as soon as I got my degree, I got some juicy roles right out of college into the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And then I met somebody and came up here, and I've been a Portlander ever since, with a couple of stints here in Arizona. But
so that's how you got started acting. How did you end up crossing paths with NWCT then? So when I was working at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, originally I was going to be a special ed teacher. That's what I really had a passion for, working with kids that were Down syndrome specifically. But I started realizing that I had a real knack for patients with special needs, adults and children alike. And when I worked at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, they have a thing called the Outreach School Tour Program, in which they basically take two actors and you get to tour, you get to teach Shakespeare, you get to do all this stuff. And when I came here to Portland, the first place I started looking into was places that did education for theater, and Northwest Children's Theater was that place. This was in 96. And John Monteverde was the artistic director at that time. And I worked with, at that time, Judy was still a part of it. I worked with them to put together a semblance of what I was doing on the road with the Northwest Children's Theater. And we did Dr. Seuss to Shakespeare, A to Z. And it was a touring show. And I put it together with my two actors that were, one of them I was doing a show with at Milagro, and one of them was in The Wizard of Oz. The first time I did The Wizard of Oz at the Northwest Children's Theater, when I played the Scarecrow, he played the Tin Man. And so I toured around with them, I played the music for them, and we did these Seuss to Shakespeare scenes and things, and we toured around schools. So that's kind of how I got involved. And I had been talking about wanting to be involved with with Wizard of Oz. I wanted to play the Cowardly Lion. And I was promised I was going to get to play the Cowardly Lion, but things just didn't turn out that way at that time. And it was sprung on me when I came in for an audition. And they said, by the way, we've already cast the Cowardly Lion. I was like, but we'd like for you to audition for the Scarecrow. And I was so crushed. I said, I don't know if I can do that right now. I'm sorry, I got to go home. I had to process it. I was really crushed. So I came back, I said, okay, I'll do it. And I did. And I had a great time doing it. I'm glad I did. But yeah, it was just one of those things, I was still young, and I wasn't trying to be a diva as much as I was just like, wait a minute, you want me to audition now and give you my best after you're telling me that I'm not actually going to even be considered for this role because you've given it to somebody else? But yeah, the Northwest Children's Theater was my home at that time. And then I did another one called Harriet Tubman. I was the stage manager for that show with Northwest Children's Theater. And then I played Dracula. And then from there, I just kept moving on to doing TYA for other companies.
including the Oregon Children's Theater. And then I got a grant to go to Arizona and work for a very professional international theater company called Child's Play. So TYA has been a part of TYA's Theater for Young Audiences. I'm sure you know that, Talon.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how I got involved. And I came back to Northwest Children's Theater because John Ellingson, I've known since he was pretty young, and he was in a film that I was shooting for Kaiser on insurance things and stuff. And I got to know him because Kalodi, his friend, said I needed a designer. And John came in. I've got a picture that I just came across. It's on my desktop here of him, like, I don't know, 20 years old or something, you know, black fingernail polish, and just watching my rehearsal. I took a picture of him. So when I was looking for work again, after things didn't work out for the other company I was working for here in town, I reached out to John. I said, I don't need a job. I don't need a salary. I need a place to call home. And he knew me and respected me back then. And I wanted to just reach out to him, and he introduced me to Sarah Jane. I sat down with coffee with Sarah Jane, and the rest is history. Every time I walk into the building, every time I get to do something with the people there, I feel at home, and more so than I have with any other company in town. So that's how I'm part of the family.
That's awesome. That's actually a really lovely story. I wasn't fully expecting it to be that great. So that's awesome. I'm really glad you're here too. I think NWCT been lucky to have you and work with you so far, and now you are getting a chance to direct digital production. We've done a couple digital productions in this quarantine so far, but this one strikes me as definitely having some new elements to it. What in your mind, like, what makes this production different from the other ones? What's making it unique and keeping it fresh?
Well, first of all, the other ones were really lovely. I was a big fan of them and really enjoyed them. And I was really proud of the aesthetic that Emma came up with and everything. The difference for mine is that I've been playing with video projections and perspectives for a long time. And the difference is for mine is that I'm kind of marrying. I'm not even sure if that's a word, but Shakespeare made up words, so why not?
Why not?
Why not? I'm bringing together elements of real 2D drawings and 3D objects and actors in their own space at home with a backdrop that I can key out, and putting them all together into one piece. So I guess that's in some ways a little bit different than what we normally do, you know, which is we're going to put you in a bubble and pretend like you're in the scene with them here. This one, they will look like they're in the environment that we've created. And I've got a team of designers that took my class this last summer. There's 3 kids, and they're just fantastic. Actually, there's only 2 kids, and Paul Brown is one of our TD at the theater. And Lorelei and Arjun, both, all 3 of them, and I call them my pal group, because this show has to do with friends. But it's Paul, Arjun, and Lorelei. So they're helping me put together a bunch of the things that we need in the background, a lot of the elements, and creating an aesthetic that I've started creating, which is a white outline and a shadow on everything. So it looks like paper cutouts of things on on a piece of paper. You know, it's like, oh, there's a dimension to it, and then within that I get to bring in actors and get them to float around. And this show here is for little kids, so that's fun, getting to get really up close and personal with the screen when I have Michaela say, hey, how are you? Do you have friends? Oh, good. It's really fun because she's really getting up close and personal with them. So it's making me feel more like a kid.
You know, it does feel like you have actors feel a little more separated than they might when you come see a show in person. So I really like that you're trying to visually represent having them in the same space that way. That would be fun. And then also being able to address a much younger crowd, I think, you know, that is an audience that I feel like has less, you know, coming out for them right now. I'm really glad this is happening for that age group.
Me too.
I want to clarify also, like, I've been hearing from what it sounds like, that you were like holed up in a cabin putting this whole thing together. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. For the last week, I I have a cabin with my partner in Eastern Oregon, in the Wallowas, and it's just beyond the lake there in Wallowa Lake, Joseph, east of Joseph. And I took my green screen and I took a lot of elements over there, and I found this plane. See, because they grew up with this cabin, and the word cabin is a loose term because it's really a double wide mobile home, but it's just the two of us in there, and there was an extra couple rooms that were free. So I hung my green screen and I took my lights with me, and up above the kids, the boys' room, because my partner has two brothers. They have all their toys from when they were little, and I just happened to find this airplane that was hanging up there, and we did some research because Roger Monroe, who's my collaborator, and Dustin Brown, also my collaborator, but Roger looked it up for me because I didn't know what the symbol was. And I was curious. And oddly enough, I go into Safeway and I rent movies, and I went ahead and purchased one. And it was called 1917. It was a movie that, it won some awards last year. It was a really good film. I'm not trying to plug the film or anything, but this plane is from 1917, and it's an American plane. And I found it on the exact same day. And I thought, that is too much of a coincidence for me to not use when we know that there's a flying element in the play. So this three-dimensional plane will be in front of green screen, and Sophia will be sitting right here. She plays little one, and she flies the plane all around. So yes, I was locked away in a cabin with snow falling and animals. 16 deer came up at one point. We had some raccoons, blue jays, and yesterday when I was leaving, a red-tailed fox came to see me off. It was pretty magical. And I was able to work on the show in a peaceful way with the fire going. And I can't wait. I really can't wait to show and share some of this stuff that has happened. Celia floating on clouds and looking like she's on paper cutout clouds that are floating around on the screen and such is pretty magical. But yeah, I was away. I wasn't locked up. They weren't.
I mean, it sounds pretty nice when you're talking about it. It sounds like not a bad place to be.
Not at all. No.
And
not at all.
I can't wait to see those visuals. That seems like it's going to be so fun and inventive. What do you hope people take away from Desvelado?
There's a couple elements that I think that are really special about this show. One of them is being that it's a bilingual show, and that we're, and I think you're part of this too. The team is working really hard to kind of do a wraparound content where there is more than just the show that you're watching. There's approach to being able to look at it before they're doing it, to try to create an immersive environment, to get the parents involved, so that they can get prepared for it. But I think that the bilingual aspect is really special. I think that being able to hear words in Spanish and English is pretty special, and showing inclusivity. I also think, and like I mentioned in there, is that the fear of being in new environments, and right now we're all in new environment, because we're whether we're isolated or because being in isolation is like a new environment and a new reality, and it can be scary sometimes, and it can be lonely. That sometimes using your imagination and then discovering that you're not alone in that isolation, that there is other people out there, or that there's other elements like the moon or somebody else out there that can kind of shed some light on or perspective on that feeling is something that I think a lot of kids need to hear. So to get families involved in this kind of beautiful way where the parents are going to maybe do something with the kids is a wonderful thing, I think. So hopefully they do get and take advantage of all the wraparound material and content that they've got going for us.
Yeah, I do think that it definitely feels like this show contains a lot of messages that are important for all ages. The younger audience is it's mostly poor, and I feel like when you start at an early age, I feel like they still take in a lot of this. And I still remember lessons I learned watching like Blue's Clues when I was like 5. So it sticks, and so I'm so glad that we're just creating more opportunities for these kind of teaching moments to happen and making it a family experience. That's really cool.
Talon, I have to tell you, I am a big fan of your show. I'm just honored to be a part of this
Yeah.
show. I really, really am. I think you're doing a great job. I love your sidekick. The Christmas holiday show was very, very special to me and was very moving. And I think it touched a lot of people. And I think that this show can touch kids, parents, and people on the spectrum, or anybody who's feeling anything. And I think that you're doing that as well. And I commend you, and I'm very, very honored to be interviewed right now. I just wanted to say
Thank
that.
you. I'm very flattered. That's very kind. Thank you so much for being on the show. We can't wait to see Desvelado. Sounded like, gosh, you had a terrible time in that snowy, wonderful, magical environment. And welcome back to the dry, not so snowy land, and hope it's treating you well.
Thank you very much, Talon. I really appreciate it. We'll see you soon, I hope, okay?
Desvelado opens this Friday, February 12th. You can buy tickets now at NWCTS.org. You know, we've been talking a lot about dreams this episode and what we do to help us sleep. And if you've been paying attention to our Facebook or Instagram, we've been posting the cast and crew's headshots as well and asking them, you know, what their dreams are like or what they do to get to sleep. I'm definitely one of those people who sadly can't really remember their own dreams. I think the only time I ever really do is if it's like a midday nap. Like I'm more awake, so I remember it better. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, normally I really don't remember. Perry, what about you? Perry? Perry, are you asleep?
It's the How Do You Do Show with Perry Winkle. I'm his sidekick, Talon Bigelow. Now here's your host, Perry Winkle.
Perry, wake up.
Oh, sorry. What? I'm up.
Hey,
Hey, Talon.
you were sleeping a little bit.
My gosh, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep there a little. I might have missed some things.
That's okay. I mean, we've been talking a lot about sleep. I was actually just asking what your dreams are like.
I don't remember. Yeah. I guess I just don't remember my dreams very well.
Okay, well, that makes two of us. Sorry, I thought this would be a more interesting conversation, but them's the breaks.
Yeah, swing and a miss.
That's our show. My thanks again to Andrés Alcalá. If you want to see Desvelado, you can go to NWCTS.org and buy your ticket today. The show opens February 12th. I can't wait to see it. And if you get a ticket, you're going to get some fun bonus content too. So keep that in mind. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Desvelado. And yeah, as always, stay safe, wash your hands, go do something, go dream about something, go learn a new language, go learn some Black history. I don't care what you do. Just stay safe and wash your hands while you do it. Enjoy the weather, maybe. We'll see you next time.